Hey, good morning, everybody. Long awaited D1 football recruiting stuff today with Terry Smith, assistant head coach at Penn State University, defensive recruiting coordinator and cornerbacks coach. Coach Smith is a Western PA guy, so I mean we go back. Both have the Steelers on representing coming up this weekend for a playoff game with Cleveland. Coach Smith, hope you had a great Christmas and New Year's and your family and everything. I know that you guys just ended up the season a little bit ago, and I'm going to turn it over to you. This is going to be your forum. I'm just going to ask some stuff about recruiting and Penn State, and I'm gonna let you take the lead. So, introducing Coach Terry Smith of Penn State Football. Hey, give us a little background and bio on yourself, Coach.
Hey, Tom, I appreciate you having me here today. I'm a Western Pennsylvania guy, like you said. I was born in a small town called Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. And I was raised in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, which is Gateway School District. That's where I graduated high school. From there, I went on to play at Penn State and had played a little bit of professional football, CFL Arena League, drafted by the Redskins. And then I went back full circle to be head coach at my alma mater at Gateway. Became the athletic director there as well. Was the head coach for 11 years, athletic director 8 of those years. Then spent a year at Temple University under Matt Rule, who's the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. And a year after that, I went to Penn State, and I've been there for the last 7 seasons with Coach James Franklin. I wear a lot of hats at Penn State. Got a lot of titles. But, you know, as a cornerback coach, I'm in charge of my 12 or 13 guys in my room. And, you know, Coach Franklin always tells us as assistant coaches, be the head coach of your position. And that means I'm in complete control of those guys, you know, whether it's academic support, athletic support, techniques, anything that goes on in these guys' lives to make them a better football player and a better person and a better student. I'm in charge of it. So, you know, and that's the good and the bad, you know. So if a kid's not going to class, I'm responsible to make sure he's getting up, getting to class and, you know, being on time and doing the things that are needed to be successful in life. As assistant head coach, I'm responsible for helping with discipline. I'm also responsible, you know, with some media obligations, also, you know, dealing with alumni responsibilities and, you know, being a Penn State alum myself and Letterman, you know, oftentimes I'm pulled into, you know, certain meetings, certain organizations, certain groups, certain settings that, you know, have to speak to Penn State alum and Penn State Letterman. So I appreciate where I am. I love the university. I love working for James Franklin. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I feel like we have a great thing going right now. Obviously, we had a tough, difficult year this year. You know, it was like 2 seasons. The first half of the season, you know, it took us a while to figure out who we were as an identity. You know, so started the rough patch, and then at the end of the season, we figured out who we were. You know, we ended the season on a good note of winning 4 straight games, and it was a long, challenging season. You know, with COVID, you know, obviously everyone is going through the COVID-19 protocols and difficulties, and you know, one of the things that we've learned is in our program through COVID, the safety of our players is first and foremost. We had 1 player test positive the entire season. And that's a testament of our administration, testament of our head coach, and a testament of our organization that we put our players first. And, you know, it put us in some difficult situations to prepare, you know, but we made the adjustments and got it done at the end. You know, one of those difficult situations for us, you know, we always talk about the camaraderie of a team and bringing a team together. Well, the difficult challenge for us this season was we have 120 to 125 players on our team. Well, we had to share 3 different locker rooms. So when you talk about camaraderie and you have freshmen walking in the door, how do they know and understand the Penn State way when they're not in the same locker room as the veteran senior or junior player, or even the middle of the road sophomore kid? They're all in different locker rooms. So it's kind of like the blind leading the blind, and we weren't able to mold and shape those guys. We didn't have our first team meeting in person until the week of Michigan game. That was the first time our entire organization was in one setting. We went into Aluba Hall, our indoor practice facility, had our first meeting. And what followed that week? Our first victory. And from there on, we started to piece the thing together. So it's been difficult, but we pressed forward. We had a good finish to the season, and we got a great group of kids that bought into what we were preaching and teaching, and we feel really good going into the off season and hitting the recruiting trail and trying to solidify this year's class and get a jump start on next year's class.
Tell you what, Coach, you know what, you picking up on some points that you make there. I just want to ask a couple things. You talk about the building of a team and that camaraderie, and I talk to people all about it. I mean, a lot of the time, and you can have the greatest talent in everything that there is out there, but if they do not get along, they do not all work on the same page. Talk about how important that is, Terry, to have those big time guys buying into your philosophy and laying it down to the younger guys.
Yeah, there's a simple word for it all. It's called culture.
Sure.
You have to have the proper culture in your organization to be successful. You look at NFL teams and big time collegiate programs and high school programs all over the country. There's talent everywhere, but what makes teams consistently good and consistently at the top of what they do, it's the culture that is set. And that culture is cultivated by the discipline and the structure within the organization, and the buy-in and the belief in the coaching staff, the administrative staff, and all the people that are making these major decisions. There's a great buy-in to that. So, we have a great group of kids, a great group of leaders and captains. Coach Franklin has a what we call a leadership council on our team. And so our leadership council is all of our seniors, and then there's 3 juniors, 3 sophomores, and 3 freshmen that participate in all the major decisions of our team. There's no decision made without conferring with that leadership council. So even as our players decided and voted not to attend a bowl game this year, that went through the leadership council, and that's how that decision was made. So, it empowers our players, which now they take ownership because this is something that's theirs and something that they have a major impact in. So, we got a great culture at Penn State. It's a work ethic, tough. We work really, really hard. We lift hard the entire season. We lift 3 times a week during the season. Most teams back off during the season. We don't believe in that. We lift all the way through, and all of our players gain strength by the end of this season. So that's our goal. It's tough, but it's successful. It's proven to work, and we just try to keep building that culture where kids are buying into it.
That's fantastic. You talk about and culture and all that, and I'll even take it back down to the high school thing and all that. Western Pennsylvania guy born in Aliquippa, you know as well as I do the culture of Aliquippa football, and then going to Gateway and Gateway, bringing out tons and tons of players, and Western Pennsylvania in general. I mean, people just really don't understand, and I'm glad that you shared some insight into that. Going to get into now, Penn State. Tell us, it's like I was telling you, I call it, I'm from Pittsburgh, and, you head up into central Pennsylvania, and, lot of rural stuff. And then all at once, I call it the Emerald City, appearing out of nowhere. Tell us about State College, Penn State, and the advantages that you have and about the school.
Yeah, you call it the Emerald City. Penn State's known as Happy Valley. You're driving to Penn, with 22 or 99 coming in from Altoona. All of a sudden it appears, and it's a beautiful town. It's a safe community. It's a great college campus, college community, where kids can achieve all that they want to be. I went to school back in 1987 to 1991 there. My dad graduated in 68. My son graduated in 08, so I'm 3 generations. My daughter is a student there now. I got a nephew that plays on the team. I got a niece that's a freshman at Penn State. I got another nephew that just graduated Penn State. So Penn State is a place that can help you achieve everything. It's a place that can help you identify who you are as a young man or young woman, and who do you want to be for the next 40 to 50 years of your life. The alumni support that you get, we have the largest dues paying alumni association in the world. And I always, when I'm recruiting guys, I point that out to them to say, these are people that are active in Penn State's success. They're actively giving money back to this university, which means they want to see you successful. They want to take part in helping you keep and continue to build the brand of Penn State. So, it's a great university. The people are great. The people are resilient. We're fighters. We overcome. Whatever hand we're dealt, we deal with that, and we press forward, so to speak. So it's just, I'm proud to be a Penn Stater. I'm proud to work for Penn State. The place has given me and my family so much, and I'm just appreciative for that.
That's fantastic. And, talking, I always tell my clients and my players that I have in all sports, about your schools and the alumni and everything. And I say, you're going to go to a great network. And, believe me, I know the alumni. My sister went to Penn State and all that, and it's huge in it. It did great things for her. And, that networking of, you have so many people in so many different backgrounds that, that they take care of players, kids getting ready to graduate. It's like, hey, I see that you're in software engineering. You know what? Here, look me up and everything. When you get out, let's take a look at looking at jobs and everything. And that aspect of going to school and playing sports is just so important. Want to get into now probably one of your particular points of expertise, D1 Power 5 football recruiting and Penn State. Talk about it a little bit. Talk about the skill set that you have to have, to be a Division I Power 5 player, and Penn State's way. What you look for. Take us through your process a little bit, Coach.
Yeah, so there's a number of things that play a factor into whether A, you're a Power 5 prospect, B, you're a Power 5 prospect for Penn State. And there's a difference. There's guys that are very, very talented that don't fit us. And so when I talk about fit, the fit for us means good character, good student, good athlete. And so when you put those three things together, they all have to fit to be able to have a chance to come to Penn State. So when you talk about character, obviously we don't want a kid that's getting in trouble, with the law, or mistreating women, or, just doing things that bring bad attention to themselves. Not to say that we don't have guys that have problems, but going in when we're looking at a prospect, we're less likely to take on that kid, knowing that information about them. Academics are important. The New England Patriots won't take a player on their roster that does not have a college degree. Why is that? Because smarter players make better decisions. Better decisions mean you're more efficient on the field and off the field. So, the smarter the players are, the better we have a chance to teach them more and advance our system. If we can only give you page 1 of the playbook, well, when we go play Ohio State or Michigan, page 1 is not going to be enough. We might need 92 chapters to win that game. So, smarter players can obtain more. And then obviously the topper is athleticism. When you're looking at a high school prospect and you're going to his game and you're watching the film, he clearly needs to be the best player on that field. Obviously there's certain games where the talent is rich. There's a ton of talent out there. But for your average high school team, he needs to be a grandma sitting up in the stands that has no idea about football. She's just there to see her little grandson play. She should know that you're that guy on the field. She should say, oh, that number 22, he's special, because you show up on film. And so those are the guys that we're looking for, difference makers, obviously like a Saquon Barkley-ish type guy that can change the game and make an immediate impact. But then there's other guys too that we look for, that aren't just the scholarship guys. We look for quality, great walk-ons, because we have such a great walk-on program at Penn State. Each year we end up scholarshiping 2 or 3 of those guys that eventually become starters on our program. So, one of the greatest stories that we have to tell is a guy by the name of Carl Nassib. He walked on at Penn State, never started a game in his entire life until his senior season at Penn State. Didn't start in high school, didn't play in middle school. So, obviously he's a great success story. He started his senior year, won every major individual award in college football. The Nagurski Award and all those awards that came with it. Was drafted. Now he's a starter for the Raiders. So, we have a great program. So there's different types of kids. The key to a walk-on is you have to understand your role and your responsibility. Your path is going to be different than the scholarship kid, in the sense that the scholarship kid, because there was an investment into the full-time recruiting of him, he going to get the first shot. That's the way scholarship works. It's like being the first-round draft pick in the NFL versus a free agent. The first-round pick gets the first shot, maybe the second shot. But doesn't say the free agent can't make it. You just got to make sure that when your opportunity steps forward, you're ready to open that door and shut that door behind you. So, we look for those type of guys. And then we look for, family type guys. We feel like we're a family organization. We want guys that care about each other. Obviously we want a kid that's a winner, because winning breeds more winning. If you know how to win, it's already deep in your soul. So, obviously winning helps everyone secure happiness and jobs and, the program to keep pressing forward. So, those great work ethic tools, a guy that's good in the weight room, size, speed, athleticism, each position will demand its own size requirements, but length is the one requirement over all positions. You know, whether you're a receiver, you're a D lineman, a DN, a cornerback, we want length. Guys with long arms, 31 plus inch arms. The lineman should be 33, 34 if you're super long. Heck, I got a corner, Joey Porter from North Allegheny. He's 34 inches long. He's like super long. So, you know, the longer you are, the less talented or less skill set that you really need, because you can make up for it. Just like a 4'3" guy can make up for some things because he's so fast. But you're looking for the guy with the length and the speed and athleticism and strength and intelligence all in one. Those are your future NFL guys. Those are your Saquon Barkleys. Those are your special guys. So that's the goal. But then you have quality guys that come in that may not play the first year, may not play the second year, but play the third year and their fourth year, like Troy Apke from Mount Lebanon, who's now playing for the Washington Redskins. You know, and so every kid is going to take his own path. We all dream that we're going to walk in at Penn State the very first day, become the starter, become an All-American, become a first-round draft pick in 3 years. That's rare. And it's rare for Ohio State. It's rare for Michigan. It's rare for all of these Power 5 schools. So you just got to have some humility to your success path and pick the right school for you and just know that you have an opportunity to play and play at a high level.
Great. Want to get into a little bit now. You know, with the recruiting, you know, I know that Pennsylvania is a big base for you and all. How far does Penn State's reach go? Yeah, I know you're going to tell me, hey, I look at everybody around the country because, you know, you have to, and there, you know, there's those that fit for that kid in California that can come and everything like that. Tell us a little bit about you know, Pennsylvania and then reaching out, Coach.
Yeah, obviously being a Pennsylvania school, Pennsylvania is our priority. We have to secure the best talent in the state of Pennsylvania and keep it here, keep it home, keep it close. That's our priority. As we branch out from Pennsylvania, we go a 6-hour radius. So that hits West Virginia. That hits all your neighboring states, Ohio, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, New York. So we want to hit that 6-hour radius and just dig into that great talent, because that's the easiest for those guys to drive to campus, which means their families can come see them play every Saturday, which means if there's a problem while they're on campus, the family can reach and touch them. You know, as they can drive to campus, they can get to campus to see it more often, to make a better decision, to see if it's a better fit for them. From there, we do recruit nationally. You know, we're going to go down in Florida. We're going to go to Texas. We're going to go to California. We're going to go everywhere in between that. You know, we're going to try to find the best players to fit us. When you look at your quarterback position and your specialist position, your kickers and your punters and your long snappers, you got to go wherever it is they are. You know, because maybe in the Northeast, there's not the right quarterback that you're looking for, or the right kicker or punter or snapper or whatever it may be. So therefore, you got to spread your net wherever it is. So if those guys are within that Northeast region, you know, we're going to try to put our claws on them, because Penn State is strongest from Virginia Northeast. You know, the Penn State alumni base, that's where we have our biggest mark. But we have people all over the country, and we're going to recruit the entire country with an emphasis on the Northeast.
Excellent. Staying in it with recruiting a little bit, you know, you see thousands and thousands of kids, the staff and everything like that. You know, what starts the process? How early do you start looking at a kid and you know, you know, this kid might be a fit for us? And that when do you start looking at him, Coach?
That's a loaded question. I mean, there's middle school kids that we know about. You know, when Typically, a middle school kid that we know about is coming from a talent-rich area that's already proven. And those guys have already seen what a Saquon Barkley looks like up close and in person. And they're like, okay, this is the next one. So from middle school all the way on up, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, we're looking at them. How do we come to know who these kids are? Just from our networking, our relationships, friends knowing friends, get the film to us. We do look at the rankings from 247 and Rivals and ESPN and all the different recruiting services to dot I's and cross T's to make sure we don't miss anyone. We have a huge recruiting department outside of the coaching staff that all of our responsibility is to watch every film possible. Don't miss a kid. And that's the challenge that we have, is to not miss a kid, and especially don't miss a kid in the state of Pennsylvania. So we take that responsibility on. Our meeting this morning got delayed a little bit, and that's what our meeting was about, was making sure that we knew who the top class of 22 prospects were in Pennsylvania and the top class of 23 prospects in Pennsylvania were. And were we on them? Do we have great relationships with them? If not, why not? And let's make sure we get that taken care of, because that's the bread and the butter. That's the meat and potatoes of Penn State and who we are. And then we're going to surround that with all the complementary pieces around it. So, we're going to recruit kids from middle school, like I said, and ideally in a normal year without COVID, we're going to try to get those kids up to one of our prospect camps in the summer. We're going to try to get those kids up during the off season to visit campus, to see our facilities, get a chance to meet our coaching staff, and for us to get a chance to meet those guys in person and see who they are, how they function around other people, see them in competitive environments, to see, hey, if this guy gets punched in his mouth, does he quit or does he respond? Because that matters. When you go play Michigan or Ohio State, it's going to be a battle. You're going to get punched in your mouth, and you better embrace it and want more of it to be able to go and defeat those guys. So, you'll be amazed at some kids that are really talented. When they get punched in their mouth for the first time, they don't know how to respond. And we need to know that, and that's information. It's not the end all be all, but it's information that we got to weigh heavy to make that final decision as to should we offer this kid a scholarship to Penn State University.
I know camps and your prospect camps are a huge part, and they are for everybody in every sport. It's like, you know what, we want to come see you perform in front of our staff, and it's like you said, for these various reasons. See, how you do in every situation and how you respond, and that how important, Terry, is it for kids to get, everybody wants to go to the combines and everything like that. I'm a huge guy of going to camps and performing that way in front of the people that you want to impress and everything like that. How important are your camps to you?
They're critical to our success. It's the only true way for us to get information that is accurate. And when I say information, that's the height, the weight, the length, body fat, speed, agility, whether it's bench press, vertical, shuttle, 40 time. We do something called a triple broad jump that gives us a great measuring tool. It gives us all that information that says, okay, he checks these boxes, and we have a lot of boxes. So he's checking all these boxes over here. Then you get him out there to say, okay, we're going to put him through individual drills. How coachable is he? Does he take to coaching? Does he come back coaching? Does he learn fast? Does he learn slow? When he gets out there and all of a sudden can he put it all together, what you taught him in the individual period? Now he's in the one-on-ones or the 7-on-7 or a team setting. Can he put it all together? So it gives us such a great measuring tool to say, yeah, that's our guy right there. I'll give you a great example. One of my corners, Keaton Ellis, is a State College high kid. Keaton came to camp coming out of his 9th grade, going into 10th grade year. He had no ranking. Nobody knew anything about him other than he was a local kid from State College. Well, the kid came in and he ran 4.4, he vertical mid-35s. He tested off the charts. He was like 6 feet, 168 pounds at that time. And he did everything right. He was a great listener. He learned fast. He moved well. He could change the direction. We offered him right on the spot that day. 0 ranking. We knew nothing about him, but all the boxes checked enough. And lo and behold, fast forward 3-4 years later, he's one of our starting corners and contributes and plays, and and so it gives us a great information source on making good decisions. Without that, it's hard, and you make a lot of mistakes when you don't have that information.
Exactly. And you make my point, and that's why I love the camps, and the combines are great, but it's like you say, you know what? When you can check the boxes in front of your eyes and not anywhere else and everything, and you can talk and you can interact and you can see, those are the most important things. I really want to get into you covered your responsibilities and all that, and with wearing many hats up there. The changes that COVID's done, the NCAA rule changes, junior college changes, given another year, transfer portal. You know probably better than anybody that is full and everything like that. Talk about how that's impacted Penn State football recruiting.
Yeah, COVID has changed a lot of things. Obviously one of the things that has changed is NCAA requirements to get into school. For the past year, this class of 21, they didn't need to have an SAT score or ACT score. So that's a change, and, it's been so difficult with COVID and the rule changes. The greatest challenge for all of the schools right now is the fact that it's a dead period, that we can't get a prospect on campus to show him our facility, to show him firsthand what our organization looks like and who we are as people, as coaches, as leaders, as mentors, as people that they're going to be dealing with for the next 3 to 5 years of their lives. So that's the greatest challenge. When you look at the other changes, the transfer portal, essentially this year it's become free agency like in the NFL. There are so many players that have entered the transfer portal, and I'm talking starting players on teams that are leaving for whatever the reason and now moving. And so, they all know and understand the NCAA hasn't passed it yet, but they're going to pass that. They're allowed the one-time transfer and play right away. That's just a formality. So these young men are taking advantage of that. And so there's an adjustment for us as Penn State, because as a few players leave us, we have to now find replacements from the transfer portal. So, it takes our recruiting to a whole nother level. We have a recruiting department that's essentially been set up to recruit high school prospects and maybe a JUCO player here or there. Now we have to have a department be set up for this transfer portal. We got to know who every kid in the country is on every roster, because he may become a viable prospect for us. Who knows? So it's created a challenge for us. We've gotten, I think, 3 or 4 transfer portal guys committed to us just here in the last week and a half. We put together a real nice 21 class of high school prospects coming out. We're probably going to sign one or two more in February. So, you know, we're doing a great job of staying on top of that. It's just a lot more challenging now that, guys, you don't know on your own roster who may end up leaving, and you just didn't know or had no idea they were going to leave, and now you got to replace that spot. Also, the final thing is the fact that each kid in the NCAA was granted an additional year of eligibility to play. So we've had some guys decide to continue to move on as it was their senior year. And then we have, like my one starting corner, Tariq Castro-Fields, has decided to come back and take advantage of the extra year. And then we have a couple players that are in limbo, haven't decided yet. So we have to figure out, do we need to replace that spot or know that we have a guy in that spot? So, you know, it's been challenging, and but we've adapted well.
When you mention that, that's probably something else that I can hit on. You know, you have your kids in limbo, your kids, you say, that are staying to take advantage and everything like that. How important is your role, Coach Smith, as their coach? How important and what is your role, you think, in talking to those kids about that decision?
Well, I play a big role, important role with those guys. When we're talking about should a kid come back or should he explore his opportunity to the NFL, or in some cases for a kid to just move on in his life, it's critical that when we recruited these guys on the front end to learn who they are and what's important in their heart. That's part of that, getting a kid in person to know them, to know their family, know if they're a family person, so that we can better understand. So now when we're making these critical decisions on the back end, what's most important? You know, here's a possible kid that is a good college player, but maybe not a great pro prospect. Is it time for him to chase his degree and what he studied and has his degree and move on in life? Well, that's a conversation. Is it time for a kid to think about, okay, should I go to the NFL? They're projecting me to be a 4th or 5th or 6th round pick. Well, there's some factors that got to weigh in. 4th, 5th, or 6th round, if that's where we think your peak is going to be as a player today and next year, then maybe you should go ahead and move on. If we think that your peak hasn't come to surface yet, and next year you may be 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round, well, that's some factors that we got to weigh in to say, okay, maybe you should come back. Then ultimately, a lot of our guys go through the family challenges, you know, where some of our guys, they come from tough backgrounds where there's not much at home. There's not much money. There's not much of anything. And they're the lifeline for their family. They're the potential savior of their family. And in that case, that's a whole different set of information that, you know, maybe we need to let them guys go on. And, you know, so there's a bunch of different decisions that need to be made and a lot of communicating. And I play a big role in that, communicating with these guys. And at the end of the day, we're going to do what's best for each individual, not Penn State, but that individual player. What is the best thing for him? And that's the advice that we're going to give him.
Great message. Great message. Thanks, Coach. Just want to, for like my clients in recruiting in high school kids, and, you know, you deal with it up there too. Social media. How often do you talk? How often do you talk to your players? Everybody. I know that there's staff. I tell my people being recruited, you're on social media. Guess what? colleges are going to look into your Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, LinkedIn. They will check you out. They will check out your family, uh, everything like that. Talk just a little bit, Coach, about the importance of social media, and what you're repping or presenting, and how you want to go about doing the right thing on it.
Yeah, we have a full-time staff that's what they do. So part of that information of recruiting a prospect, we're checking their social media their social media accounts. We're making sure that these guys aren't just doing anything that's off the hook, off the chain, just kind of stupid things, just whether it's mistreating animals, posted, just, are there guns in the pictures? Things that just tell you what you may be bringing into your organization.
Yeah, little red flags.
Yeah, red flags. So we're constantly looking, and with our current guys on roster, we're educating them every day about do's and don'ts to social media. If you have to think about it, don't press send. If it's not an easy, okay, one of my former players, Grant Haley, yesterday had his first career NFL interception. That's easy. Press. If I got to think about it, just pass on it. So, in today's time too, the players are, I think next year or sometime this year in 21, they're going to start to get paid for their name and likeness. So there's strategy to how they want to go about posting, and they can't just post recklessly. So we're continuously educating them. Think twice before you send. And is that the brand that you want your name to be associated with? Whether it's just hardcore this or easygoing that, or is it whatever it is, that's what your name's going to be associated with. So we want to make sure we educate those guys. And, social media is tough anymore because what everyone's doing, especially our youth. They're all over social media, and they tell you exactly what's going on in their life. And for us, it makes it easier to say, okay, we want to be involved with this person, or we do not want to be involved with that person. So they need to be very careful with the things that they post and tweet and message.
Great. That, I appreciate, coming from a coach such as yourself, it backs up a lot of what I try to instill in my clients and players and everything. And what I just appreciate so much. Just going to end it here with a couple little things. You've been a part of it. I've been there. I want you to give me your explanation of what it is to run out that tunnel in front of 108, 110,000 people up at Happy Valley.
I'll tell you this. So I've been very, very blessed to be able to run out as a player, to be able to come out of the locker room as a recruit's parent, and then to come out as a coach. And I'll tell you, from 1987, the first time I ever did it, it doesn't change. The thrill of coming through the tunnel, there's a certain hallway that when we make the turn, there's a TV camera right there that shows you the stadium. And above us is the student section. And it literally starts to shake, because that camera shows the players coming out of the locker room, and the fans now know, here we come. And the entire stadium is moving. And when you come through the gates, like the hair on your arms and your body stand up, and it doesn't get old. It's like it's the first time you've ever done it. And it's that wow factor of just looking around and taking it all in, where you got 108,000 plus that's screaming. And to take it another step, the whiteout night is even a step further, because it's all dressed in white. And it's so electric that, I mean, it's tough to hear. Like as a coach, we have these headphones on and we're like screaming at each other because you can't hear. And especially being a defensive coach, it's at its loudest because our crowd's trying to drown out the opponent's offense. And we're like screaming, trying to communicate the calls and things, but it's electric. There's nothing else like it in the entire world. When you look at a Super Bowl, which is a great event, but the Super Bowl has half the fans for this team and half the fans for that team. We got 108,000 fans there, and maybe 107,500 are all ours. So it's one-sided, and it should be. It's a great feeling for any kid that has the opportunity to come put the blue and white on. It's an incredible experience.
That's tremendous. And, you know, but with where you play out at the Horseshoe, you know, the big house and everything like that, I know you talk your PA. Hey, this isn't going to be, when you come onto the field for this one, there's going to be 100,000, you know, that will let you know the other way and everything. And it's important to know that. I mean, you know what, there's that tight-knit community of us against the world that night and everything. So, Coach, I appreciate it. Just going to end here. Message to your players, message to high school kids looking to go play and all that. With Coach, biggest adversity they've ever had in their life, because you know what? So much is still unknown, and you're going through things, and you know as well as I do. I mean, you know, kids, you know, there's some mental fatigue and everything up there now. Give me Coach Smith's message.
Well, you know, we live by some core values at Penn State, and the first core value that we live by is positive attitude. And I would implore high school kids to have a positive attitude. Obviously, COVID-19 has changed everyone's lives. No matter who they are, everyone has been affected by it. And the positive attitude will allow us all to move forward, press forward into new goals, new accomplishments, new ways of doing things. So if I'm a high school athlete, I want to find new creative ways to work out, new creative ways to become a smarter football player, watch more film on my iPad, computer, or whatever the device is. I want to find new ways to work on my technique, my footwork, my weightlifting, weight training, you know, build all the key ingredients that make you complete as an athlete, and to make sure that you're doing it in a safe manner, you know, washing our hands for 20 seconds or more, wearing your face mask or your face covering, practicing social distancing. You know, we have to continue to do that, so that sooner than later, we can get back to what would be closer to normal. Who knows if it'll be normal as we've known it, but it's okay for us to have a new normal to move forward. So, you know, for you young guys, stay positive, you know, reach for the stars and give your best effort. Don't sell yourself short. You know, we always preach to our guys, be the best version of you every single day. As long as you are a consistent person, you're going to have success in anything you do. It's when you have the peaks and the valleys. Well, we as coaches and as administrators and bosses and people that are in charge of things, we don't know what we're going to get from you. Therefore, there's a lack of trust. And when there's a lack of trust, I'm not as likely to put you in a game. I'm not as likely to give you responsibility. But if I know who you are, I know how to manipulate everything. If you're consistent, we're going to have great success. So find consistency in your life, in all that you do, academically, as a person, with your family, in your relationships, as an athlete, in training, everything you do in your life, be consistent and you'll be successful.
Coach Terry Smith, Penn State University football. I appreciate you coming on and giving your experience, your knowledge, your insight into Division I football and recruiting and prospects in general. And let's go Steelers there next weekend, big guy. See, like we are, we're repping and all that. But anything that I can ever do to help you, Coach, let me know. And I'd love to come up in spring and go around the facilities with you and watch a practice. So I'll talk to you a little bit about that. But you stay safe and all the continued success for Penn State football.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate you having me. Let me know when you want to come up.
All right, Coach. Take care and off.